Welcome back to Behavioral Finance and FinTech. I'm Andy Kim. In this video, we're going to talk about the text-based sentiment measure, okay? Which uses machine learning technique and big data, right? And then it's, frequently used in FinTech and the RegTech or whatever tech you want to say it, right? Not just text ones, but other unconventional data you can do it too. But anyway, let's go. Now, how would you measure the sentiment, right? Emotion kind of things have been a big challenge. The first idea is about the word, because not only the Bible said in the beginning was the word, and the word was with God, and the word was God, but it carries, right? The language is the mirror of the mind. Leibniz told us about it. He is a, 300 years ago German scientist, right, who invented calculus, right? Of course, he competed with Isaac Newton, right? But this guy was more of a Renaissance kind of guys. What do you mean? Well, he was not only scientist, but also diplomat, right? His area of expertise ranged to everywhere, right? His genius. Anyway, and then Noam Chomsky, recent centuries, great scholar in language, right? Linguistics. He also said this word too as well, right? Language is a mirror of the mind. Whatever you have in your mind, we can see it through your language that you spit out. So, 언중유골 kind of things, right? Language, communication is very important. I say business is about communication. And you have to be clear about what you communicate as a businessman. Not only your verbal language has to be clear, but your body language has to be there as well to be a global investor, global businessman anyway, okay? This is why I encourage you to learn a lot from Professor Joseph Kim, the communication professor, okay? The way you present, the way you say it, speak it, okay? And the verb, choice of words, all these kind of things really, really matters. And that is being quantified these days. Previously, people said, those language expertise is not for mass kind of equal kind of genius guys. We don't have to worry about language things because the number tells everything. And if you don't understand my answer, my number, you're stupid. But that's what we call arrogance. You have to be clear in delivering and saying about your numbers, interpreting it. You have to be much more reader friendly in communicating. Get your thoughts through to the counterparty. That's very important things. South Korean people or Asian people usually ignore this kind of things because we had to be only focused on the manufacturing part. Whatever product it may be, engineering wise, we make perfect product and here you are, and then shut my mouth up. Lack of communication. That's a serious problem. People don't even realize this is a problem, but that shows up, okay? When you go to high-tech companies in the, California, all right, Silicon Valley or Wall Street, we cannot see many people coming in the top level, CEO, CFO position. In Google, we don't see many Korean guys going into that top position. Why? Communication skills is a problem. The communication is very important, soft skill. And now what we do over here is just quantifying those soft skills and finding that it matters in terms of stock price and the risk of the company. So language, communication, what kind of communication? Verbal communication and non-verbal communication are there, right? Then the first approach in our quantitative trading or behavioral finance was the easy part, the word part, textual analysis. My research about the CEO interviews on CNBC, I analyzed the text of the CEO's words, transcript, whatever he said or she said, positive words and negative words, all these kind of things. Quantify it and find out that it has to do with the stock price return on the day. Textual content and textual readability. How clear are you in communicating? Short sentence, easier words, clearly delivered. Long sentence, prolonged words, and then Nobody understands. Problem for your company. It happens. Tables and numbers, right? That adds to the readability. If you have clear thoughts about your understanding of your own company and your own business, you're more likely to be able to write and show it in tables. And the numbers will be clearer and shorter. There are many students of mine who are not good at really numbers. 문과생들 문송합니다. What's the typical symptom of 문송합니다? Or the non-engineering guys, right? It shows up in their number presentation. How? How many digits do you show below decimal points? Okay, 3.14. Stop it. Or 3.14. 3.14. 159266 so many digits below decimal points, 10 digits below decimal points. Typical non-engineering guys show too many digits below decimal points. It just shows up. Okay, they don't know how to handle those numbers, right? Whereas engineering guys, they show it with 3.14. Stop. Why? Because you know what is significant and what is not significant. And it communicate with only the significant numbers. That's what they're good at. We have to learn, if you're not engineering guys, showing with succinct numbers. That's important. Does it matter for your stock price? Yes, it does. That's what we find in our behavioral finance research. And that has to do with your fintech as well. To be able to communicate with your clients and customers and making better user experience for your clients. It's all about marketing. Everything is merged together. All right. Now, nonverbal communication with speech, right? If you look at my, presentation, there must be the speed of the language that I speak, and then the pronunciation, maybe, mattering. So intonation, some people speak in monotone way, blah, 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 blah. And that's so dull. Make you fall asleep. There's MIS research that finds that those monotone language guys, right? They tend to lose audiences in their teaching, in their presentation and things like that. Not good for a CEO in their communication, in television interviews and things like that. Intonation and voice pitch kind of things matters. Facial expressions, does it matter? It communicates so much of it, right? CEO's facial expression, it has to do with lie detection as well. It comes together with the criminal psychology or forensic psychology, right? Body language, right? The way you move your hand, right? It matters. And then pictures and charts that you show or not. These are all something we can, study, and then we'll find something important over there. All right. Previously, right, when these kind of things were not quantifiable, the motions, right, kinetic research, kinetic measures are there. Those of you who are from engineering department, you must know this kind of things, right? But previously we had no idea whether we could quantify these things or not, but now we have those things. Every move you make, every vow you break, every smile you make, everything you speak, I'll be watching you. The Sting's song, right? The CEOs or even the individuals like you and me, everything will be quantified. We have to be careful. Our communication matters, and it affects the stock price if you're the CEOs or the leaders, right? And for business communication, this is critically important. And the more we learn about fintech or whatever, quantifying AI, everybody has to go for coding. I say, don't panic too much, but rather you have to be good at everything. Not only AI or coding, but also the communication skills and how to confidently carry your thoughts and ideas to the general public or investors and things like that. But how do we quantify those things? Well, let's start with this verbal language over here. Words. We have NLP, natural language processing, but how? Machine learning is a technique that we do it. I know some of you are more expert than, you are the expert, not me. Okay, machine learning, we use, classification mechanism, right? And then there is some scoring mechanism in different groups, right? Classification of the text, news articles. You got a news article from somewhere, right? Let's say one news article, and then how can we quantify such news articles? One way of it is classifying into certain topics. Oh, this is economics news. Those are political news. Classifying into discrete bins, right? Another way of it is quantifying the positivity. Positivity, giving the score in a continuous scale, right? 연속선상에서, right? Out of 100 words or total words, how many was negative? The percentage figure, right? It can go from 0 to 100%, right? Where does it stand? We can score it. That's another way of doing it. Now, getting back to the classification bullet point, classification method. Well, for news articles, not only the topics you can classify into different ones, but also you can also do it this way. Oh, this is a buy recommendation. And that is a sell recommendation. We can have a discrete positive and negative bins, right? Positive and negative bins. What is the difference between this classification into positive and negative bins versus the continuous scaling? Well, this continuous binning, right? We cannot numerically, we cannot measure how much is it different from each other, right? We are just discretely classifying it. Whereas the continuous one, we are just, quantifying within a scale, okay? So those are differences. Supervised learning versus unsupervised learning is also there in the classification, whereas scoring, you don't need to supervise machine or whatever, okay? The supervised learning is about what? Machine sees and machine does. Just like what English says, monkey sees and monkey does. Here, the humans, like RAs, like you guys, right? Demonstrate to the computer that out of 1,000 news articles that you demonstrate, I demonstrate you, computer, see how I do it, how I classify such and such news article. And then the machine sees you, how to classify, and then apply what the machine learned, and then apply it to the test set. That's the idea. Unsupervised learning is like what? The human beings don't do it. And then throw everything into the machine and say what? You classify your own way. Find some commonality among these millions of news articles. Classify your own way. God knows what you will do. That's that. So, news articles, how does it look like? It looks like this. Washington Post. Yeah, traditional newspaper on a nice piece of paper. Yes, you can see like that. And then what? Nowadays, the news articles are in a different format than that. I'm going to show you about different article format. Nowadays, SKKU subscribe to Factiva. I demonstrated to you how to go to that Factiva website, right, through our library system, which is the world's largest news database. And they used to provide it in XML format. And I complained. Nowadays, they don't provide it with XML format to us, the universities. But I know that they used to provide it to NTU in Singapore in XML format. After a certain point, they stopped it. Why? Because XML is much more convenient so that they can sell it much more expensively. To whom? Sell it to hedge funds. The thing is, universities cannot afford to do that. Fine. So, If it is XML format, what would you, how does it look like? Let me open this XML format. You can maybe compare this guy with what you've seen before. Open with, I will say, Internet Explorer. ExxonMobil's newspaper, 100 of them in XML format, looks like this. Holy cow, what the heck is that, you may say. It says what? In this file, we have 100 news article count is here. So then you click this one and it shrinks down, 100 within this one. Okay, expand it back. And then each news articles have their own identification number, which is called accession number. If you're a journalist, you must be familiar with this jargon. And then for each article, right? So article, the second article, accession number is different. The fourth article, fourth article goes on and on like this, right? Now let's see. This one is a fourth article, and then it says the language is English, and then the copyright belongs to this company, and then headline, what is it? Well, headline, Chevron reserves some Gorgon train 3 LNG output for spot sales. I don't know what the heck, but the headline finishes over here. What's the lead article? Well, it starts from here, Shenzhen, right? And then this first paragraph stops over here. This is title, and then the first paragraph is the people, what people usually read, business people, and then run over, right? Because they are busy. The tail paragraph will show up later, but just lead paragraph is shown over here, so you can analyze the text for lead paragraph separately, okay? And then date and time is shown over here. What date, and then time by what? British GMT, Z, standard time, right? And then now comes the surprising part. Company code, there was SoCal, and that's Chevron, and then what is it? Industry code, I1, that's energy code. Those industry code is Factiva assigned, okay? You may have different industry codes and topic codes, but they already have this one. The thing is, as soon as the journalist enters their whatever they wrote, and then enter and 송고, send it to the internet, right? The Factiva receives it and then automatically assigns all these kind of taggings, right? How? Using the natural language processing. Out of these texts, the computer finds out, oh, this part is headline, that part is what? Lead paragraph, and that's tail paragraph. Not only that, but as the machine reads it, oh, such and such company name shows up most frequently. That's about the Chevron or something, or that's about the ExxonMobil maybe. And then those company codes automatically assigned, right? Multiple company codes, and then multiple industry codes, right? Natural gas and oil extraction, industry, and then the region codes, Shenzhen, China, right? And then Australia and New Zealand. And then all this kind of country codes are assigned, and tail paragraph shows up. Company codes, industry codes, and topic codes also shows up there. Word count is naturally there. How many words were spoken, written, and then move down to the next article like that. Okay, at least I can try to capture 10 different article, the topic codes and things like that. What does that? How does that help? Well, it makes our life easier if you're hedge fund managers. So if you want to study about the impact of governance-related, ESG-related investment, ESG-related news articles, language tone, right? You can just go ahead and capture those tags and then topic codes, restrict it to the ones with the ESG-related topic codes, right? Makes your life a lot easy. This kind of thing is not available anymore as long as it is provided to us in HTML format nowadays to SKKU. But that's still better than having nothing, right? I am quite sure that Factiva must be providing this data in XML format to whom? Hedge funds. Yes, I bet you. Anyway, Once you have this kind of data source, XML file, what did I do? I imported it to SAS, my machine, right? I did not use R or anything, but you may try with your R or Python or whatever, and then it shows up like this in matrix form. I told you accession number is a unique article number, which means that one line is one whole news article. And then how many news articles? 10 different articles. I have 4 million of this, right? And then headlines and lead paragraph and all these kind of things, publication date. You can do stock market event study based on these news articles, and then other company codes and news topic codes, and then industry codes and all different things, right? Like this, right? So that's something you can explore if you have this kind of database, right? Factiva, and then parsing process that you can do. Korean news, how does it look like? Well, Kinds is the one that provides news article data in Korea. Can I show you News Korea? Yes, over here. Let me show you this one. Yes. And then it also shows news article ID and then gives some topics, categories like this. But they just assign it 3 of them only. And Factiva over there, it was like many. Company, category, identification, industry category. And then headlines, and then date, and then the news source, and then the byline. Byline is journalist name, right? 기자 이름. Article content, actual content is shown over here. Everything is provided in Excel format. You may say, oh, providing it with Excel format, isn't it more user friendly? And I say, not at all. It's the other way around, right? It's not user friendly at all because Excel takes up so much of your RAM, and then it screws up your computer. So we want it to be provided with XML format instead of Excel format. No, so Korea database sucks. And then article tags, right? This is it. And then the news link is there. And then another set of data for a Korean news article. It matches with this one most of the time. And then it tries to give some information about other things like what company is it about, and then what type of people, the positions of the guys showing up, 장관, 차관, 대표, CEO kind of things. And then content analysis a little bit, key sentences maybe, but not that helpful. And then the article category, industry a little bit, but 3 to 4, that's maximum. And then what's the topic about? 두부요리 kind of things, right? That's it. And then the HTML, the internet link is URLs are provided in Korean data as well. Anyway, so those are the contrast between Korean database and the US database, Factiva. All right. A lot more scientific and user-friendly for United States data. And then Kinds, right? The major news article source is omitted. The thing is, in SKKU library, I found 조선일보 database there. So I want you to go ahead and explore that part. 조선일보, the biggest news media in Korea. And then so Kinds data, it's kind of limited. Anyway, XML format I showed you, that's very useful. In the next video, I'm going to show you how we do the concept about naive Bayesian classifier in classifying those news articles into international news versus non-international news. Very simple setting. So thanks for watching until now. See you next.